Hi everyone, if you don't know already, my name is Brandy with A Rustic Stitch and I have a really cute remake project for you today. I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree sign that I got back in the fall and this super cute lemon wreath printable that I got from mothertime.com. So on her website she has these free this free collection download. I think you may have to sign up for emails or something and then you can get the free download. If you are a monthly subscription member, then you can find this print in our April folder. This is one of the newer ones that I have collected for us. So I'm going to be using that today along with a few other things to make a cute kitchen sign. That's my vision. I can see that I think it would be really cute in the kitchen. So that's kind of what I'm going for. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, and I did put that link to that free printable download. It's attached to this video, so you should be able to find that. If you can't find it, just comment link and I'll help you with that. All right, but let's go ahead and get started. Let me pull myself up over here so that I can see your comments better. Make sure that that's turned down. Swipe left. Okay, so if you pop on, be sure to say hi, let me know where you're watching from, and chat, ask questions, whatever you like. If you don't have time to chat and watch for a long time, then check back later, watch the replay, and you can fast forward, and I'll also be including a quicker tutorial later on too. So, but for today, let's go ahead and see what we can work out. I'm going to start by just taking all of this stuff off. I'll pull the string aside and I'm sure that I will reattach this later. No sense reinventing the wheel when you don't have to. I usually just add these string hangers back on at the end. Let's pull off this raffia. If you just keep that glue up underneath, then it usually pops right off. Set that to the side. I might use that later. You never know. Then I'm going to, I think this circle is going to be pretty easy to pull off. I kind of gave it a little test tug earlier. I'm just kind of going to go easy around the edges because I don't want to break it in half. I do want to still use it. All right, not too bad. Came off pretty clean. And then, of course, we want to take this paper off of here. It's just kind of coming off on the edges. We don't need that. We're going to redo it, give it a fresh coat of paint, make it look nice. Hi, Kimberly. I'm so glad you caught me live, too. I'm really excited. I've been planning this project for a little while, and so I'm happy to finally be getting to it. I'm just kind of pulling this off, and as I'm working, I've been trying to decide if I want to just try to paint over this or just add a cute paper on the back, like contact paper, and start fresh on the other side, and I'm kind of leaning towards that. Just because it gets messy whenever you start trying to pull all this off. Some of you might be wondering why I'm covering it with more paper since I just pulled paper off, but obviously it tore whenever I pulled things apart, and I'm going to put some thicker, better paper on there, so we'll go with that. So I think because of the colors of my craft, I'm going to use my grayish contact paper. I have kind of a grayish tone and then a brown tone depending on what craft I'm using. But I do think that I'm just going to go ahead and cover it up with this. Let me use my sander because it is still hanging over the edge a little bit. And I just want to clean that up before I get started. I'm sure I'll sand the edge again too, but I just want to go ahead and clean this up. sweep that up later. All right, so let me just trace this shape on here. A pencil somewhere. I can see it. There it is. All right. So I'm just gonna trace this shape out with my pencil. Get it as close as I can. If it's not perfect, that's okay. Kind of moved it. Moved it again. Let's start this edge again. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off the roll, just so I'm not fighting with that too. And I probably could have prepped this ahead of time, but I actually just decided to do it. So Irma says, hello everyone. Hi, glad you could join us today. Have you guys made any linen crafts yet for the summer? They've kind of been on my list for a while. I've been wanting to get to some, so I'm really excited about today's project. I'm all about the linens right now. I'm loving all the ones that I'm seeing, and then I downloaded a whole bunch of linen printables, so. And then, of course, I used a linen print on the tote bag that I made, if you saw that. Ken said, you should see me my tracing skills. I know, it's kind of difficult sometimes. Especially when this paper wants to roll up. Love lemons, and what you're making is going to be so cute. I think so too. I love whenever I have a vision and just seeing kind of how it's all going to come together. Sometimes it works out right, and sometimes it takes a shift, but we get what we get. And it's okay if these edges aren't completely perfect. I am going to use my sander to kind of even them out and shape them up once I get this on. I'm thinking this shape is probably going to get a little tricky to get stuck on just right, but I'm just going to do my best and we'll see. I'm not always great at cutting straight lines either. Hey Roxy, glad you could join us. Okay, now the moment of truth. Can I get this wonky shape lined up on here? Let's hope so. I'm just going to start by peeling away a little bit on the top. Try my best to get this top piece lined up first, and hopefully the rest of it will fall in line. We'll see. Roxy said I just got 3 of those at a yard sale. The little signs like this, or the shapes or whatever. It's such a cute shape. I just think it's great for kitchen projects especially. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I should start at the neck where I make sure I get my circles started in the right place. This part can be so tricky. I know I probably make it look easy in my little quick videos, but it's not always easy. Okay. And you have to be careful because you really can't move it a lot once you stick it down. So, let's see. All right. It's down, and that's what we're going with. I got a little bit short on the top, so it might be a little bit off, but I think I can kind of camouflage it with some paint if I need to. Okay, it's pretty close. Like I said, we can touch it up a little bit. Get that pressed on, get all those wrinkles out. Roxy got some real game paddles. Oh, fun. That's fun. Jennifer says, I love getting random signs on clearance to repurpose. After Easter, the Dollar Tree had them for 25 cents. Oh, I should have checked that out. That does sound nice. Maybe they still have some. Okay, so now I'm just gonna hold this over here so I don't get so much junk on my mat. But I'm just sanding off those edges and straightening them up a little bit. All right, I got that. I did get a little low, but it'll be okay. I love these little sanders. They just make it so easy to straighten up your edges on everything. Okay, not too bad. I got pretty close. You can see I'm a little short there and a little bit right here, but I think we can cover that up and it'll be fine. It's just the back, guys, but I do put these in my Etsy shop, so I try to make all of it look nice. Okay. Oh, we got a sticker here. Let's pull that off. This is not wanting to come off good. Just getting pieces. Goodness, it's been in the cabinet a while. I don't know if that's why it's so tricky. Okay. Got that. All right, I think we're ready to get started. Finally. All right, well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut out this little hole that I covered up here because I'm gonna use that. So let's see. Just my little X-Acto knife here. Just cutting around in this little circle. It's a pretty big circle, so it's easy to see where I need to cut. All right, there we go. Now we have a hole. All right, so I am going to paint this base with mineral today, and then I'm going to be doing some shading with some black. So I'm just putting in a little bit of neutral with a little pop of color. If you watch me very often, you know that's kind of my style. So we're going to do the neutral part now. And then I'm just going to put on this wax paper so I can throw it away later if I want to get messy. It's fine. Hi, Charlotte. Thanks for joining today. All right. So we'll just cover this. And I didn't really think about it, but sometimes I will wait and put the back piece on after I finish painting the front just so that I don't get any paint on the back that I didn't intend to be there. But I'll just be careful. If you work, most of the time, whether I'm painting or gluing, I work from the middle out instead of dragging, you know, your brush across the edge so that you don't get all those clumps. I like to put put a lot in the middle and then work it out. And I kind of go in the direction that I need to make the coverage, and then I'll go back over it where everything is kind of going in the same direction so that it looks nice. You won't see the middle a lot because I am going to cover it up with that, but you just never know where everything's going to land. So I'm going to go ahead and paint everything. Okay, there's that. We'll see if it needs another coat. One coat might be enough, especially since I'm going to be distressing it. I think that it's probably going to be fine. But I did get a little bit of goop in the middle there. So I'm just going to use a dry paintbrush to kind of get some of that goop out. Actually, why don't we just go ahead and use it to paint that. I probably should go around the edges as well. I probably do need to do that actually. So let's just take our big brush, and while this is a dry spot, and just kind of dab. It doesn't need to be a real solid coat, but just to hide some of that wood. And then I'm going to hit some of that I didn't cover up on the back. I'll go back and add some more detail to that a little bit later too. And like I said, I'm going to be using that black on the edges, so I think it's all going to blend in fine. I'm not going to worry about it a whole lot. I'm trying to find a place I can grab. I'm being a little impatient, not wanting to wait till it dries. Okay. Blend in my fingerprints a little bit right there. All right, I think that's going to be good. And it's kind of got a rough edge. I'll probably sand that down a little bit too once the paint dries. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this to the side over here. I'm just going to let it dry while I work on this piece. I wish this didn't have this on the back because I would just use this back side, but I also don't want to have to fight with taking this off because I don't think it's going to come off clean enough for my decoupage, but I also know that it's going to be really hard to cover this up. So I'm going to try something new today. Denise says, you are so brave to paint in your sweater. I always manage to get paint on me, so I have a paint shirt. Yeah, I usually do okay, although I did feel like I put my elbow on the paint jar just now, but I don't see it, so I think it'll be okay. All right, I'm going to try something new today. I'm going to paint this black first so that I can try to just get a coat on here, cover this up, and then I'm going to paint on top with my plaster color. That way I don't have to do, hopefully I don't have to do a million coats of plaster. I'm trying to decide, do I want to do plaster or do I want to do white? I think probably plaster. All right, let's go ahead with this black though. Just going to use one of these. A little bit of this goes a long way. This black chalk paint is really good coverage. So let's just go ahead and cover it with this. I think this is going to be the fastest, easiest option for getting that covered up. And I can see with this black, even as dark and thick as it is, you can still see this design coming through. I think it'll be fine once I paint over it again, but it's just hard to cover these things up. Get all my extra paint off. All right, so there's one coat of the black, and you can see it's still showing through. So we'll see what happens whenever I add the next color on. Go ahead and put my paint brushes in the water so they don't dry. Okay, let's make sure this is good and dry. Actually did darken up a little bit when it dried. You can't see it quite as well, but you can still see it a little bit. All right. Now I'm going to give it a good thick coat of this plaster and hope that that's all it needs. But, you know, it also, there's black in the design, so I think it's all going to blend perfectly. It's probably going to need 2 coats still. I think I kind of got some drips on the edges, so I'm just going to go around a little bit, catch anything that might have gone over. It's going to need some on the edge anyways, because you will be able to see it. All right, let's dry this coat, and we'll give it another one. All right, I think it's dry enough for another coat. Let's see. Hopefully the second coat looks better because this first coat, not looking that great. You can still kind of see the outline, the imprint of the other sign, but I didn't have much choice because I really couldn't use the backside. There was just too much glue stuck on there. I don't think it would have scraped off neat enough to be able to use the rice paper. It's just so thin. Maybe if I kind of drag the brush, give it a little bit of extra texture, it'll hide that bottom. Just dragging it through where it's already kind of drying, giving it a little extra texture. We'll see. Not too bad. We're gonna go with 2 coats. Let's give that a dry and then we'll move on to the next step. Jeanette said with another coat of black paint hidden the design more. I'm not sure because it's not really the colors of the design that shows through, it's the imprint of the design and the shapes and the words that shines through. So usually always I'll just use the other side so that I don't have to worry about it, but I just couldn't on this one. So I'm hoping it's not going to be noticeable in the end result. We'll see. I may regret that decision, but sometimes you just don't know. You try it and see what happens, and then you adjust for the next time. Sometimes it's just lessons learned from trial and error. Okay, so while I have this off, I'm going to go ahead and actually apply my lemon print to this. But first, we're going to get that ready. So, I'm out of room here. Let's set this over to the side. And I'm going to get this ready before I put the Mod Podge on the other one. Now, I'm not going to use the word home. I want to center this wreath directly in the middle. I actually have another wooden word cut out. Jeanette said, makes sense. Thank you. And it may have hit it more. I mean, if you have time, I'm kind of rushing a little bit, but if you have time, you could maybe do another black. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use some water on this little tiny paintbrush and go around the edges and just get that middle wreath pulled away. Just kind of loosely go around the shape. I don't want to get too close because as the water spreads, it will get into your design if you get too close. And I did print this on rice paper. I think I said that earlier, but if not, I just used some temporary glue to attach it to a piece of cardstock and ran it right through my inkjet printer. I've seen where people have used tissue paper, print on tissue paper. I have not tried that yet because I had the rice paper. I can't really speak to that, but I know with the rice paper, the colors don't fade or bleed or anything whenever you use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling some of this away before it dries behind me too much. It's already drying right there. I don't want to put too much water because I don't want it to spread out too far, but it has to be enough. So you just kind of pull that right away. It gives you a nice little feathered edge that blends in a little bit better than just a straight edge. And then I'm going to take my sander too, probably, and go around those edges a little bit more once I get it glued on to really blend that in as much as I can to my base. And if you have a water pen, sometimes some of the Dollar Trees have the little water pens that you can use. I just don't have one, so I'm using this. And if it does happen to get too close to your design, which has happened to me before, you can just kind of use your fingernails to kind of put a barrier there where you don't want it to tear, and save it if that happens when you're doing this. Also, if you didn't have a little word cut out and you wanted to use this, you could just take this out as well and layer it on your project if you wanted to do that. I definitely, since I'm putting it on a circle, I wanted the wreath to be centered. So you could maybe take that word home and put it in the middle where I'm going to be putting my other word. Just kind of go slow and easy so that you don't tear anything you don't want to. But if you do, which I've had that happen too, just kind of leave it as it is, work around it, because whenever you get to the gluing part, you can just glue it back down. It's not the end of the world if you do tear into your design at all. Okay, and so now I have this little lemon wreath all tore out. Go ahead and bring my wax paper back too. That way it'll be there for the shading part. And you can see what I mean here. Maybe just see the indentations. You can still see the word Farm Fresh there and a little indentation on the truck. But I'm hoping once I get done, it's not going to be that noticeable. All right. Got my sand and stuff on my shirt. I'm going to go ahead and add Mod Podge to the whole design, or to the whole round piece, sorry, because when I get to the shading part and kind of that distressing. It just slides easier if you have the Mod Podge on the surface. So starting from the middle, working out to the edges. And I do want to make sure that I get this one centered really well. I don't want to have to fuss with it or get it in the wrong place. So I am going to go ahead and use the drying method, dry and iron-on method for this. If you haven't seen that before, then I'm going to show you something new today. Do you guys decoupage much? Is this something that you enjoy doing? I really love how it's just a quick, easy way to get something nice on. I'm not really that good of a painter, so I like to just print it out. All right, there's that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and draw this. Make sure it's at least mostly drying. And I did have someone ask me this question before. You may be thinking the same thing. Why am I'm drying it with heat, and then I'm gonna use heat to add it back on. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm drying up the wetness, but with the heat, whenever I iron it in a minute, it's gonna reactivate the tackiness of the glue. So it's not gonna be like wet glue, but it'll still be kind of tacky. Irma says she loves to decoupage rice paper and napkins. Yeah, napkins are really fun too. I like the printables because you don't have to buy like a whole pack of something. You can just print out one, but sometimes the napkins are just so cute I can't help myself. Roxy said she decoupages a good bit. She likes to iron it on when she can. Yeah, it just depends on what it is. Sometimes I don't always want to take the time to dry it. I like to just hurry it and put it on there, but it just depends, especially with the napkins, because they are a lot thinner and you can't reposition them at all once you get them put down. And if you're crafting at home, you can kind of do one step and maybe go throw in a load of laundry or something like that if you need to. Okay, let's see here. So I want to just center this up the best that I can, just kind of eyeballing it. It's mostly dry here. I'm a little bit worried about the edges getting kind of stuck to my heat resistant sheet whenever I get ready to glue it on, because I do have so much exposed, but we'll just see what happens. I feel like that's pretty centered. Yep, I think that's going to be good. So I'm just going to press it on a little bit. It is still a little bit tacky in some spots. And then I had this heat resistant just from other projects that I was doing, but you can use, like, I think it's parchment paper. What's better, Roxy, parchment or wax paper? Roxy says it's going to be so pretty. I hope so. Betty says hello. She's sitting outside Menards waiting for her husband. Oh, I'm glad I checked that because I had a little piece that was folded up. That would not have been good. All right, I've just got my little mini Cricut iron here that works pretty good. Maybe if I don't go all the way on those extra pieces, it won't get, see, it's wanting to pull that up because it's on my thing. Maybe if I let it cool before I pull it up. Just checking my edges. I can see I didn't get that one very well. And if you have a piece that covers your whole background, I just didn't because this particular print had like a little gray square line around the outside that was kind of messing me up. So that's why I had to get it out of there. Plus I wanted to get that word off. Okay. Not too bad. It wanted to pull the glue up a little bit right there, but you know, we're going to distress it a little bit, so here's what it is. All right, so I'm thinking here how I want to do this. I definitely want to get my sander and go around the edges a little bit. Kind of want it to cool off a little because it's going to pull up that Mod Podge just a little bit if it's too hot. What are you looking for? A notebook? That's my son. All right. So I'm just going to go around. My goal is to feather these down a little bit, thin it out, and just make it blend in. The rice paper is pretty thin, but I still have a lot of white. And I just don't need all of that. And you don't have to press very hard unless you are just trying to pull up big pieces of it. Just barely scratch it. If you want to distress your design a little bit too at this point, you can kind of scratch over it just a little bit, but you don't want to do it a lot because it'll tear a hole in it. But I think mostly I'm just working on the edges and just the white part. And this is just an extra step. You don't have to do this part. If you just want to leave it as it is, that's fine. I see most people do that. I mean, you don't have to do this step. It's just something new I've been doing, and I like how it looks after, so. But if you're in a crunch for time, you definitely can just leave it as it is and shade your edges with paint or ink or whatever you have that you're using. Jeanette says, looking great, thank you. I hope so. Sometimes about mid-project, I get a little nervous and I'm thinking, I don't know if this is coming out right, but I always just try to finish it out, wait to the end, and it's usually fine. Only a couple times have I kind of ended up with something that I didn't like so much. And some of these places that has more of the white paper, I am pulling some of that away, just getting as close to the print as I can. The goal is always that you just want your image to blend in as close as you can to make it look like you painted it. That's my goal anyways. Like it's supposed to be there. All right, and then I think I'm just gonna lightly do a little bit of this middle. I don't want to go too crazy here. I'm just kind of shaving off some of that top layer. Give it a little bit of texture too. Just so it's not a flat white piece of paper. Okay, I think I have that cleaned up pretty good. Here's what I have so far. It's already blended in pretty well, so we're just gonna work on that a little bit more. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and cover it with Mod Podge before I do any more distressing. So let's go ahead and get that on. I'm going to be careful for this step that you don't do it in the wrong direction or in a way that is going to peel up your print or your napkin. The rice paper is a little more sturdy than napkins, and also if you are using just regular paper, which you can use just plain printer paper, I have done that before too. The only difference is just that it's going to be thicker and it's not going to blend in as well, but for some projects that really doesn't matter. So I'm also going to try to go back over it with all my brush strokes in the same direction. Once I get it, that top layer smoothed on well. Okay, and we're gonna let that dry. All right, I'm trying to think here. I guess I can go ahead and draw this. Still have my other piece that I need to do a little shading on too, but I'm gonna keep working on this one, I think. But you know, also, while I'm waiting for this to dry, I have my little word that I got. This is, I got these in a little bag from Hobby Lobby, and this one says gather. There was a whole bunch of words, and I thought since I imagined this to be for the kitchen, I thought gather was a good word. And so what I want to do is paint it yellow. This is just, it's bright yellow from Apple Barrel. You can really use any shade, but I'm going to go ahead and paint this because I'm going to be distressing this too, and I can just kind of get it all at the same time. Molly says, first time watcher from West Texas. Hey Molly, thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. Just going to put a little of this out on a paper plate. It's kind of got a goop. And brush it on. And if you have a better shade, you can use a better shade, of course. This was one of the only yellows that I had. Joanna says, new watcher. Hey, glad you could join us. Thanks for checking me out. You can use another shade if you have a better shade. I just didn't, so I'm going to use what I've got, and then I'm going to use some antiquing wax to tone it down a little bit, make it a little bit of a darker yellow to try to match my print. So there's that. I'm just going to kind of check my edges, make sure I don't have any big globs anywhere. All right. So now that can be drying too. Close. Joanna says she's from Oklahoma too, so am I. A fellow Okie here. I'm originally from Louisiana. I was born and raised in Louisiana, but I've lived in Oklahoma for 7 or 8 years now. All right, I think that's going to be good. So now I have some of this antique wax from Waverly. I love using this. I also use distressing ink a good bit, but I think today we're going to use this one. So let's see. I'm just going to get a brush here, and what I want to do is kind of, I'm just going to put a little bit of this on here, not a whole lot. Just kind of drag it across the edges in some spots. And then I'm going to take a wet wipe. Molly says, where in Oklahoma do you live? Joanna is in Stillwater. I live in northern Oklahoma, almost to Kansas, in a little tiny town called Newkirk. So I'm just going to take my wet wipe here and drag that across a little bit. Try not to wipe it off too much. I got some new wet wipes, and I'm thinking these might be a little bit too good. Sometimes you just have to see what ends up on there and then adjust. But I don't know, I'm kind of liking this. Kind of go around my edges a little. I'm going to go over it with black too, so I don't want to do too much. But then I also want to get a little on my wipe and drag it in this middle. That helps give that a little bit of dimension as well. Kind of pull it across. Make sure I don't have too much. Kind of pull it across my design a little bit. Especially where the edges of that paper was. Just kind of blends it all in, makes it harder to see where, you know, the paper starts and or paper stops and the wood piece starts. Gives it a little busyness. Okay, I think that's going to be good for that. Now I'm just going to use a little bit more and kind of go over this. I want this to have a little bit more coverage because I don't want it to be so bright yellow. I want it to match my lemons a little bit better, and they're not so bright. So we're going to go ahead, tone that down a lot. All right. So there's that step, and I'll show you what I have so far. Just looks a little rusty. If you don't want so many, my camera's backwards, if you don't want so many of these spots, you can wipe those away a little bit more. And then I've got my little word here that's yellow with some mottled wax on top of that. Leslie says, checking here a little late. It's 7:30 p.m. in England. Wow. It's 12:30 p.m. here in Middle America. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side now. And go back to our main piece because I want to get a little bit on there. Now, I still have some rough edges, so I'm just going to lightly go over that with my sander. Not doing a whole lot of sanding. I'm just taking off some of those rough edges. Okay. And I'm just going to do the same process here. It's going to look a little different because I don't have that Mod Podge on here, but you'll get to see the difference. What it looks like if you just do the distressing directly on the paint versus putting the glue on it first. So I'm not going to do a whole lot in the middle because you're not going to see that. I'm just going to work my way from the edge towards the middle. Just kind of giving it a little bit of interest there, a little bit of layer and dimension. And just dragging that towards the middle. And just however hard you press is going to be, you know, how much it pulls off or how much it smears. I really kind of do want the black to be my main accent color, so that's why I'm keeping this kind of light. I don't want it to end up getting too dark because I have a tendency to overdo it. Trying to be good today. If you are using the wax, one thing to kind of note is that it does take a little bit longer to dry than like paint or ink. So that's just a little tidbit to keep in mind. And of course it's wax, so it can have a bit of a waxy coating. It's not always just dry and smooth like paint is. All right, let's do the handle a little bit and then I'll be done with this part. I'm just kind of picking a couple spots here where I want it to be a little heavier, just to kind of mimic some natural wear. All right, I'm just gonna put a little bit just right on the edge, just to darken that and accent it a little bit. Okay, I think that's good on that. So I'll put this back to the side, let that dry a little bit. Here's kind of how it's looking. It doesn't have a whole lot because I'm leaving room for more, but that's what I have so far. That's looking a little plain right there. Hold on. Let's give it a little bit more. There we go, couple streaks. All right, let's pull this piece back out. Now I'm gonna switch to the black. All right, thinking how I wanna do this. I think that I'm just gonna go straight with my wipe, dip it in some of the paint. Now remember, a little of the black goes really a long way, so you don't need much. I'll wipe most of it off. If I need more, I'll come back and get it, but I don't want to end up with too much. And so I'm pretty much going to go on the whole edge and then drag some of it across. And I really like how this is looking. I don't know if you can see yet, but I think it's blending with that brown really well. I see some hearts. Maybe that means you're liking it. Some of these, ooh, that was a lot. Some of these have a little more space, so you can drag it out into those bigger spaces if you want. It's kind of even adding a little bit of gray tone into this brown. So I'm really liking that. You can kind of, I'm just daubing like most of the darkest part of it, or the most amount of paint, if that makes sense, onto the edge. And then I'm going back and dragging some of that across. That way I don't get big globs of black on my project. If you get a little too much somewhere, you just can wipe it back. Pretend like you meant to do it. Okay. Pull back a little bit on some of these heavier spots. All right, so I want to do just a little bit in the middle. Just a little bit. Just barely pressing with my wipe just to get a few streaks across. Again, I'm just trying to make it look like my print blends right into everything else, like it's just meant to be there. Okay, I like that. I think it's looking good. What do you guys think? Here we go. So you can see the black mixed with a little bit of the antique from far away. What about that middle part? I don't know if it's just the way it's showing up on camera, but it's looking a little too like on purpose. Let's wipe a little bit back. And that's what's good about the Mod Podge too, is that you can adjust more easily the amount that you have on there. There you go. Roxy says, gorgeous, thank you. Jeanette says, does the rice paper tear easily? I notice how gentle you're applying the stain. Once you put the Mod Podge on, it does not tear. I'm just doing it gently because I don't want to put too much. I'm kind of trying to control the amount of wax and the amount of paint that I'm putting on here. It's easier to add more than to take away. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Leslie said, love the effect. I think it's pretty neat. I don't want that middle part to stand out so much though. I think that's more so in the, on camera, because it's not doing that to my eyes really when I hold it up. So I don't know. I think we're going to leave it at that for now. So there's that. Oh, I have my little word too. Let's do a little bit on that. I'm just kind of stick mainly to the edges on here and pull it across just a little bit. But I'm going to do my edges first, and then when I only have a little bit left on my wipe is whenever I'm going to just kind of drag it across. And that's another way that you can kind of, that was a lot. That was another way you can kind of control how much you get. My original thought was that I was going to paint it yellow and then paint it black completely on top and sand it down, but I'm going with this method, so if I get a lot of black on there, I really don't mind. I kind of want the yellow just to peek through a little bit. That's what I see in my head. Molly said, looks really good so far. Thank you. I'm glad you're liking it. Okay, I don't want to get too much there. And this one is just paint. So you kind of, when you're blending on paint, you kind of just get what you get. You can't wipe it away like the Mod Podge, but here's my little word gather. I got a little bit, let's see, wrong end, backwards here. Can you see the R? I know that's there. I got a little heavy there, but I'm not worried about it. I think it's gonna be okay. And then I'm gonna make my little bow first, but you get the idea. I'm gonna kind of glue it in the middle here when I'm ready. So I'm excited. I think it's looking good. Okay, let's add a little bit of black to our main piece. And then I think we'll be ready to glue it together. So I'm just gonna do kind of the same thing here. Find a new place. Dip it in my black paint. I'm dabbing a little bit of it off, and then I'm just gonna go around the edges. Heavy on the edges. I have to be careful on this because once I get it on, you can't really pull it off. You gotta cover it up with more paint, so. Putting a little more pressure on this just because it's harder to pull it across because there is no glue. It doesn't have that nice slick surface like my top piece did. You can kind of start light at first, and once you see how it's gonna kind of move and react, you can go a little heavier. I'm going ahead and putting a little bit more on here and dragging it across. That's a little too much. All right, let's get the top of the handle. Get a little more color on that too, because that's not going to be covered. Well, I say that. I'm going to make a bow, so it will be covered up some, but... All right. Then I'm just gonna go back over it, blend it, make sure I don't have any like really thick spots. I'm gonna go with that for now, and if I need to change anything once we get it all put together, then we will, but I think it's looking good so far. What do you guys think? Hey Liz, you're out running errands in the monsoon winds. Oh, it's been so windy here. Don't even get me started on the Oklahoma spring wind. Stop it, Liz. Okay, so here's what I have so far. We'll see when we put it all together. Hopefully Sorry, I never can get used to the camera being backwards. I have to flip it around so that things are right side to y'all. Okay. All right, well, I think that it's dry enough. We can go ahead and start gluing everything together, and then we'll top it off with a few bows and embellishments and see how it all looks. This is kind of the fun part. So I'm going to use some of this E6000 on my middle piece to make sure that it doesn't pop back off. So I'm going to put that right in the center. But whatever permanent adhesive you like to use, you can use that here. I always put the lid back on so fast. I'm always so scared that I'm gonna glue something I shouldn't. Where did you get the bottom piece? This was a sign that I got at Dollar Tree. So I pulled this piece off. It was all attached together. I just pulled this piece off. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add some hot glue here because this is gonna be for quick attachment, and it's going to hold it until, it's kind of hard getting a new stick added on, until the other glue dries. That way I don't have to worry about it moving. Now, let's try to get it centered. Just gonna eyeball it here and try to get it like it was before. All right, I think that's about the best that I can do here. Kind of press it down, squish that glue out. Oh, Roxy, that's so sweet. Thank you for the stars. You're gonna make me blush. Okay, now I'm gonna add my little word on. I am gonna put a touch of this permanent glue on as well, because I have found that hot glue does not always stick the best to the Mod Podge. So I'm always afraid that things are gonna fall off. So I'm gonna put just a few little small daubs of that, and then some hot glue for a quick set. These pieces are kind of small, so I don't want it to goop out a lot, but I need to make sure that I have enough glue. So we'll clean it up if we have to. And I'm just going to kind of put this a little bit catty-cornered here over my bow. All right, and I do have to say, this piece is kind of taken a little bit of a turn from my earlier vision. I've done some things a little different than I thought I would, but here's what we have so far. I want to make sure it doesn't look too like tiger striped. Is it looking tiger striped to you guys? But there you go. There's what we have so far. Might add in a little bit more of the brown on top. I definitely need to cover that up a little bit because it's missing. There we go. Add in a little bit, kind of go a different direction. That'll help. Okay, much better. Kind of fix that handle a little bit. Give it a smudge there. We're going to cover that up with a bow anyways, I guess, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that word bright enough? Maybe I should highlight it with a little bit of white. Maybe that would make it stand out a little bit more. Opposite. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Do you have any ideas? Molly says she likes it. I am now going to make a little bow, a little checked bow to cover that up. But first, let me see. First, let's go over this. Let me add a little truffle. Let's add a little truffle and see. Just a little bit. Not sure if I'm liking the black as much as I thought that I would. Let me see which paintbrush I need. Roxy said she likes it. Molly said looks good to her. Maybe it's just me. Let me do this and see what I think. I don't know. I'll just do it to the handle and see so far what I think. Maybe I should have used the wax. You know, I think I'm going to finish it up before I decide to do any more. Sometimes you just need all the pieces together before you can decide. So I don't know. I added a little bit of brown to the top. I don't even know if you can see it. It's probably just me being crazy. All right, let's work on the rest of it and then we'll see. So I've got my mini bow dabber here. I'm going to use it to make a little bow that I'm going to glue onto the top of here. This one has 6 loops, so I'm going to give mine 6 loops. Put my twine right there. And they don't need to be super big. My tails don't need to be that long. So I'm just gonna go back and forth here until I get 6 loops, like the picture. You can kind of make them cross. Jeanette says maybe a little highlight on the word, but it's all looking good. Yeah, we might need a little bit of highlight on that just so it'll stand out. All right. That's dovetailed in the picture, so let me cut this straight. I am not good. I'll wait till I get this off of here, then we'll see. Okay, so now I'm just gonna tie it up with my little piece of twine here. Cinch it really tight and then flip it over, which I've kind of, here's my back side. Tie a little knot. Hey, Becky. Glad you could pop on. All right. Got that. I don't need the extra, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that away. Spread my loops out. Let's make my dovetails to match the picture. Hopefully those aren't too long. Let's see. Very cute. That one's a little bit long just because of that word. So let's cut it a little bit shorter. Oh no. I went backwards. I do that a lot when I'm trying to dovetail stuff. Oh, now we're going to have to make the other one shorter. All right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Let's make a little piece for the middle. I just want to use the same ribbon here. I'm going to cut a short piece off. Roxy says, too cute. Thank you, ma'am. And then I'm going to tie this just in a little, just a knot. I can. I'm not going to pull it super tight, and I'm just going to make that be the middle of my bow. So let's put that together. So I'm just gonna, you know, ooh, pulled too much. I was gonna tuck that under, but now that I have it on here, I actually think it looks pretty cute with the ends sticking out. Cut off some of that extra, and then I'll show you. It just kind of gives it a little extra volume, which I need to try to cover up this other one. So here we go. I just glued this little knot with the two ends here, and it really just blended in really nice to the top of my bow and gave me a little extra. So that's what we're gonna go with. Let's see. Okay. So now I'm just gonna glue that right on. And if I need to, I can also go back and staple it if I'm worried about the glue not sticking. I'll kind of give it a tug test later once it dries really well and see what I think. And also this end, I think it needs to be trimmed a little bit more. Probably should have done that first, but I didn't, so here we are. Okay, so here's that little bow to cover up the print. So I think that's pretty cute. That turned out good. Why don't we go ahead and do a little highlighting to that word. And I'm just going to dry brush on some of this plaster and see how it looks, because I do want it to stand out, and I've kind of done something similar in the past and really wished I had done this. So here's my chance to kind of redeem myself. Especially that part on that R where I got dark. Let's give that a good highlight. I thought I was going to like the black, but I don't know. It gets dark really fast whenever you start using the black. Okay. So here it is with the highlights. What do you think? More, less? I don't know. I feel like that G is still blending in a lot. Of course, it doesn't always show on camera exactly how I see it, so. Just get some of those edges. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. Jackie says more. Yes, hopefully that was enough. Blend it out really good. Becky says that's cute. Thank you. Molly thinks it's cute. Jeanette likes the bow. Molly likes the bow. All right, maybe I'm on the right track here. I'm not going to have any yellow left if I keep on. Maybe I need to highlight with some yellow. All right, there's a little bit more on the highlights. I'll take a picture later too, and it'll be easier to see, but there we go. Maybe I'm thinking, maybe I should highlight a little bit here to blend, to pull that middle piece in. What do you think? Because it kind of just looks stuck on there. I don't regret this, but I think I'm liking it. Got some fuzzies. What do you think about the white? Am I messing it up? Molly says, love it. I might have to tone the white down a little bit to match where I just stressed that part. And then I feel like we need to put a little bit in this big space right here. All right, let's do a little blend in and see. Sometimes it's just about finding like the right balance of all your pieces. All right, so we've got that. Now, let's go back with a little bit of the antique wax over the top of that because this is not bright white and I don't want it to be bright white there. I like this. Whoops. What do you think? Can you tell? I think that was the right move, adding in some of that white to pull that together. Roxy says she has to go. Thanks, Roxy. Check back later to see how it ended up. Jeanette said she has a difficult time knowing when to stop and when to be satisfied. Yeah, I know. I'll kind of nitpick it a little bit sometimes. Dana says it's pretty. She loves it. Thank you. I think adding that white in was the right move because it just did give it a little bit of balance on the edges. Okay. There we go. I think I'm going to leave it right there for a little while and work on my big bow. So here's what I have so far. What do you think? I think the shading is coming out pretty good. Okay, let's put that to the side. Let me get my big Bowdabra, because I think I have room for a big bow. I like big bows, and I cannot lie. Sorry, that was really corny. All right. Let's get some of this out of my way. Get my twine going here. Now, let me hold my ribbons. I kind of have this like grayish kind of taupey looking burlap, and then just some black and white. I do feel like maybe I'm not really going to add in a lot of yellow because I do have some dried lemon slices that I want to try to add to the bow. Molly said she thinks the shading looks good. Jackie said it looks looking good. Jeanette's laughing at my corny joke. I just want to add this, put this together, and make sure I still think it's going to look good, and I do. So, all right. I think I'm going to go with about 6 loops of this for the bottom. So I'm just going to start by working that back and forth. Some of this ribbon can be a little tricky to work with. I really love my Bowdabra. It just holds everything here for me, frees up my hands so that I can fight with the ribbon instead of like trying to have to hold it all in my hands. All right. Let's give it a couple more loops because I want to be able to spread it out really nice and full. And you can kind of adjust your layer lengths here too whenever you have this to kind of help you hold everything. All right. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add some greenery, but I think I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to put it in the actual bow. I'm just going to wait till I get to the end. That way I can put it exactly where I want it. So, get my ribbon taped up here. I add a little more black and white just to go with the design in the picture. And this one has 3 loops. I'll probably just do 3 loops on each side. I'll probably do 2 loops on each side of this. Go a little bit smaller for the top piece. And this one does not have wire, so you kind of have to keep it from sliding through. All right, I think that's going to be good. Cut that. Now, cinch it down. it tight, tie my knot in the back. I don't need the extra, so I'm going to cut that off. Now I can kind of spread my loops out. I like more of the angled cut on the edges of the ribbon. I know the other bow has dovetails, but I'm just going to go with this for my top part. Make this a little bit shorter. Doesn't need to be so long. Oh, this is such a sweet little bow. I hope the lemon slice works out because I'll show you, but I bought this bag of potpourri a while back because it had the orange slices and the lemon slices, and I was excited to use them. This piece is a little bit much, but that's okay. All right, here's what I have so far. Just a big fluffy bow. I really like how that turned out. All right, I think I'm through painting. We can get rid of this. And also I want to point out, and I've done this before and I may go do it with this one, but if you feel like your piece got a little bit too dark, you can always highlight with some plaster back over the top of it to add more white in if you want. So I'm going to add this right here. I'm just going to glue it for now. You can staple it on. This sign is really thin, so I already know my staples are going to come out the back side a little bit. So I'll just kind of judge and see if I feel like it's glued on good enough or if it needs a little bit extra. But I think it's looking cute so far. And I think the greenery and stuff is really, I don't know what to do with this edge piece. Let's cut it a little bit more. Make it look a little more like it's supposed to be there. Okay, let's go ahead and glue this on. I just want to get it right in the middle there. Kind of hold it in place for just a second. I gotta glue on my fingers. Let's trim this a little bit. Okay, so let me show you what else we're going to use. I have some of this boxwood greenery that came from Walmart. Thank you, Judy, for the stars. That's really sweet. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. That came from Walmart. Now I feel like this one's, I'm just going to keep cutting on. That one's a little bit too short. I mean too long, not too short. Okay, stop it. Stop cutting. I have that. I have some raffia. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that, but I always forget about it, so I brought it out today just in case. And then I have this bag of potpourri that I got from Marshall's, and it's got some of the lemon slices, so I want to try to incorporate those if it looks good. Kelly said she loves the boxwood. I really do too. And this is kind of, I'm just now, after all the fall crafting and everything, I'm just now really being able to use it again. So that's an orange slice down there. This is a lemon. It might be a little bit big, but I think it'll be okay. That's a smaller one, but it looks a little green. I don't know. We'll see. I think those are oranges. All right, we're gonna start with that. So let's pull some of this off. I probably won't take a whole lot. And, oh yeah. I just love, like, it's like you put everything together and then the greenery is just like the icing on the cake. It just really makes such a huge difference in your piece. So I love adding that in and seeing everything come together. That's the exciting part. I'm just going to kind of glue that there. And then I like to kind of go opposite. So I'll probably glue this down on that bottom piece there. Okay. So we got a couple peeking, and then I do always struggle with figuring out what to do kind of with my tops and bottoms, because when you tie your bow, well, then you don't have anything right here, and I don't like the empty spaces. So I'm going to try to fill it in with a little bit of greenery. What do you guys think? I think a whole one is going to be too much. So let's cut this a little bit. And just see about sticking maybe a couple small pieces. My bow is a little tall, so it might take more than one layer. We'll see. But we'll just stick that right there. And then see if I can put another piece right on top. I may slide something else down in there later. We'll see. For now, let's go with that. And then I want to get another top piece for this underneath. Let's see, how are we going to do our lemon? I think it's going to be cute. Ooh, maybe I can have it like sneaking out from there. All right, what do you guys think? If I can get it to stay up like that. I've kind of got this one like peeking out through here, and then I was thinking about maybe adding the bigger one on the bottom. Is that too much? I do too much all the time. Let me know, do you think I should do both pieces of lemon or maybe just one? And like some greenery on the bottom, or I could only just put one on the bottom. I don't know. Let's see. I do think that I like this little piece right up here. I'm going to put that there. Denise says only use one, odd numbers. Yes, I have heard that before. Top or bottom then? Let's see. I don't think I have a third one that's small. Stop it. I can't do that. So either top or bottom. Lemon on top. I think so too. Just peeking out right there versus up front and center, because it really doesn't exactly match my print. I think I'm going to put it right at the top here, peeking out. See if I can get it glued down. Well, then I have to figure out still about the bottom of my bow. And the whole odd numbers thing, sometimes that's hard for me. I'm so symmetrical. Everything that I do, whether I'm planning like a flower bed, I like everything balanced and symmetrical. And so that's really, a lot of times that's even numbers. Hopefully that's glued on well right there. I may even have to add some more back into that greenery now that I've got that lemon there. You just never know how things are going to end up until you do it. Let's see. Let's give this a top. Jackie says yes. Looks good like that. Let me see if I can get something just to cover up the bottom here. Get it poked in there. Okay, perfect. Just kind of sliding that in crooked so that it'll cover up that empty space. I just don't like empty spaces. That's immediately where my eye goes to for some reason. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but to add that. More glue. We'll see. Spread my branches out a little bit, maybe. Got glue on my finger. Let's see. I think you can see it when you pick it up. Okay, I think that's going to be good. Let's go ahead and tie the string back on and see what it looks like all together. Denise said she loves it. Yay! Maybe I'm on the right track. All right, let's go ahead and tie this back on. I really like it. I hope that this word stands out enough. If it doesn't, I don't know. What do you think? Ooh, I really like my bow. It's so fun to add the greenery and the other embellishments, but I think it's really cute. What do you guys think? What do you think about the word? I know it's kind of hard to see on camera. I may take a picture or just set it up and look at it. I may do a little more highlighting, adding a little more of that light color back in. But so far, I think it turned out super cute. I think for the kitchen, it's just perfect. Gives you a little pop of color, but it also has like your neutral kind of, your main pieces are neutral. So I like that. Okay. Well, that's all I have for today. I am going to run and pop this in my Etsy shop for those of you, if you're interested in the finished piece. I am going out of town tomorrow night, so I'll leave it in there for a little while. But but then I'll have to put my shop on vacation tomorrow because I won't be able to ship it if you order it after I'm gone, obviously. Jackie says more green behind the lemon. Yeah, you think build it up at the top. I may add in a few extra pieces. I was thinking about that too. I'll post a picture of kind of how I ended up on it, but I'll let you guys go for today. I've had you on here for a while. This was a long project. So thanks for sticking it out with me, those of you who are still here. And if you're watching the replay, say hi. I'd love to know that you were here and just connect with you later. So, okay, I think that's all. Thanks so much, guys, and I hope this inspired you to get a little crafty. See you next time. Bye.